Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see important current affairs that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So before seeing these articles, I want to make a small announcement, students. So as you all know that in our Rathod Science Academy, we are providing scholarship tests for the students who want to prepare on online. And if you want to take online coaching from Rathod Science Academy, and if you want to get scholarship, you can take test on 21st May at 10 a.m. And the students who get this 1 to 5 ranks will be getting 100% scholarship, and the students who get ranks from 6 to 10, they will be getting 75% off on the fee, and 11 to 20, 50% off, and 21 to 40 ranks, they will be getting 30% off on the fee. And here this examination will contains like 50 questions, and these questions are from the basic syllabus of UPSC, which includes polity, history, economy, geography, environment and ecology. And these questions will be like statement based format questions as UPSC gives, and also you will be getting simple ABCD type of option questions. Okay, and the duration here is just 30 minutes and there are 50 questions, guys, and don't miss this opportunity. And if you want to take this test, so please do scan this QR code, or in the description of this video I will be providing you the link of this registration form. Try to fill the details and register. And after once you get registered, you will be getting test link before one day of your exam. And at exactly 10 a.m. that link will be opened, guys. So try to take this test and avail this opportunity of scholarship from this academy. Okay, now let us see the first article, guys. See the title. Yeah, what is the title? India asserts Jammu and Kashmir stand after US claims. So what is this article talking about? It is talking about India-US relations, and even this article is talking about India-Pakistan relations. This article is talking about, first one is India-US relations. And second area this article is talking is about India-Pak relations. So where we can see this article? In which subject? Yes, from GS paper 2 under international relations. We can see this topic, guys. Yes. So what is happening between India and Pakistan? Tensions. It had been started with issue, Pahalgam issue, and later on Operation Sindoor, and later on both the sides ceasefire violations and attacking of different areas, right? So recently, what happened in yesterday's class, I said that because of the blast which had been done by India, which had been affected some nuclear areas in Pakistan, and because of that, to do research, scientists from US, they came to Pakistan, right? And they made some statements. And because of that statements, in retaliation, Indian External Affairs Ministry gave some statements. So this article is about what statements India made and what statements US made, okay? So here, because of this, it is also important from your India-US relations. Okay, so can you recall what is happening when this Trump 2.0 era started, guys? In this Trump 2.0 era, so how this India-US relations was? So as soon as he came, he imposed tariff. So because of this tariff, will India getting affected or not? Yes, India is getting affected because of tariff on which goods? Iron, steel and aluminium goods. And next, yeah, and next, yes, pharmaceutical sector next. And what are the things that we had discussed in the recent past? What is Mission 500? We want to improve bilateral trade to $500 billion, right? So sometimes we can see there is a good relations and sometimes we can say bad relations. But whenever US is interfering in this issue of Pakistan, is that right? So India gave one statement clearly that this India-Pakistan relations or India-Pakistan issue, whatever it is going, it is between the two countries. No other country need to interfere in this matter. That means we are keeping this US sideline in this India-Pakistan issue. That is a one key thing which is given in this article. That's it. So now let us see this article in context clearly. So actually one diplomatic statement which had been given by India has reaffirmed the stance on this Kashmir issue following the recent comments from US President. So US President made some statements. So in retaliation, our country also gave some statements regarding Kashmir issue. Let us see what are those. So first one here is India strongly said that Jammu and Kashmir is a bilateral issue. Bi means two. It is an issue between which countries? India and Pakistan. No need of interfering of a third country in this Jammu and Kashmir issue. The first important statement which is mainly made. Okay, next one here is Operation Sindoor is a very significant operation of our government of India. Why? Because we did attacks on how many areas? 9 terror bases. We attacked only terror bases. We didn't focus on any civilians, right? So this Operation Sindoor is very important because it is a proactive military strategy. Why we came up with this? To counter terrorism. One important thing. And next one here is, yes, India also refused to acknowledge the link between trade negotiation and militancy ceasefire positions. So actually, when this Pahalgam issue happened, after that, what India did? India stopped trade, and even on other side, Pakistan also stopped the trade, right? So here, this article is saying that yes, we want to reject the trade corrections with the country from which we are having the threat. Yes or no? We are following that thing. So if you are having the threat from that country, we don't want to go for the trade with that country. That is the third important statement which had been made. And actually, we are keeping this US aside from this Jammu and Kashmir by saying this is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. So because of this, what happened? Whatever the relationship between US will be improved or decreased? Yes, again, we are going to have some complications in India-US relations. So these are the 4 important points that you have to remember, guys. First one is trade. We don't want to do the trade. And this one is Operation Sindoor is very important for government of India. Why? Because it is against terrorism. And next one is this Jammu and Kashmir is a bilateral issue. No need of other country to involve in this. So because of all these things, we are going to strain our relationship between India and US. So these are the only 4 points that you have to remember. Nothing more than that. And say this article, guys. Title says retail inflation falls to 3.16%. Lowest level in 69 months. So what is the keyword? Yes, inflation. So this inflation is a very important topic from your prelims. In 2022 and 2023, there are 2 simple static based questions in your prelims regarding inflation. And you have to know this inflation topic very clearly. And not only that, in 2024 mains also in GS paper 3, the first question is about inflation for 10 marker. So this topic of inflation is important from both your prelims and as well as mains. Okay. So what is the meaning of inflation? So inflation is nothing but whenever there is increasing of prices of goods and as well as services in the market, it is called as inflation. Okay. Inflation is a condition where there is increasing of price of goods and services in the market. Okay. So here you have to see about different types of inflation. So this article is talking about which type? Retail inflation. So we have 2 types of inflation. Wholesale inflation. Next one is retail inflation. So wholesale means nothing but the person who will go to directly a manufacturer or industry and he will be buying goods in bulk. That is called as wholesale or wholesaler. Retail is nothing but you and me. If we want the goods, we'll go to the nearby shop and we'll be buying whatever the quantity we want. For example, half kg of sugar or 1 kg of sugar. So if you see wholesaler will be buying 100 bags of sugar or 200 bags of sugar directly from this sugarcane industry. But here we retailers will be going to the nearby shop and we'll be getting only the amount of sugar that we need for 1 day or 2 days or for 1 month, like that. Okay, so this is the difference. So whenever we are talking about retail inflation, what it means? So whenever there is a increasing of price of goods and services at the retailer level. For example, I am going to a nearby shop and I am purchasing one toothpaste. So earlier the toothpaste cost is, for example, 20 rupees. But the same toothpaste cost now is 25 to 30 rupees. That means there is increasing of price of the toothpaste, right? So this is called as retail inflation. Wholesaler is nothing but whenever this person who goes to an industry and for example, if he is buying 100 bags of that so-and-so goods for 1 lakh rupees. But now, if he wants to buy same 100 bags of that good, now he is paying around 1,20,000 or 1,40,000 like that. So at this person stage, whenever there is increasing of price, that is called as wholesale price inflation, and at you and me level, whenever there is increasing of price, that is called as retail inflation. Now this article is talking about retail inflation. Okay, and if you see the title, it is saying that there is false. False means nothing but decrease. So now there is decreasing of retail inflation. Now it is 3.6% of retail inflation in our market. Okay, so you understood about this concept of wholesale inflation, retail inflation. And now this article is saying that decreasing of inflation. Now tell me, what are the advantages of decreasing of inflation in the market? Is that good or bad? Yes, is that good or bad? Inflation decreased. Good or bad? Good or bad? Okay, let me give you one example. For example, I am buying 10 apples. Normally, I need 10 apples. So, 10 apples cost is 100 rupees, for example. Okay, so this is in 2010. And now I am in 2020, for example. Apples cost is 150. And now I am in 2025. Now the same 10 apples cost is 200. That means there is increasing of prices happening or not at the retail level? Yes, for every 10 to 5 years, we are seeing there is increasing of price. Now what happened? Now for this 10 apples in 2025 itself, now I am paying just 150 rupees for this 10 apples. Okay, decreasing of inflation is happening. Okay, so whenever there is decreasing of inflation, is that good or bad? So whenever there is decreasing of price, now instead of 10 apples, how many I will be buying? 15 apples. Yes, that means in our economy, consumption of goods will be increased or decreased? Increased. Okay, because of decreasing of inflation, what happened? There is increasing of consumption of goods and services. So whenever there is increasing of consumption, will our GDP increase or decreases? Yes, our GDP will be increases. Next, what are the advantages? So whenever consumption of goods and services is increasing, will the production increase or not? Yes, instead of 10 apples itself, I am buying 15. So if you take our total population, so the total population consumption is increased. That means now the number of production will be increased or decreased? Increased. So now production will be increased. If there is increasing of production, manpower we need more amount of number of persons who are working or not. That means increasing of employment or decreasing? Increasing of employment opportunities. And whenever there is increasing of employment opportunities, what about poverty and hunger? Increased or decreased? Decreased or decreased poverty and decreased hunger. Okay, so whenever there is increased production, so if people are not having skill, government what it will do? It will try to come up with training programs or vocational things and try to impart the skills in the people, right? Because now government wants a labor. So even there will be increasing of skills. Okay, increasing of skills. How they will get? Through programs. For example, any training programs from the government. So that working capital will be increased or not? Yes, there is increasing of working capital. Okay, so these are the advantages of decreasing of inflation. Have you got now? So there will be increasing of consumption of goods, increasing of GDP, skills, increasing of human capital, increasing of employment opportunities, decreasing of poverty and hunger. And overall it will lead to what? Growth and development of a country. And if you want to reach this target of 5 trillion economies, it happens or not? Yes, we can achieve $5 trillion economy, and even we can achieve this Viksit Bharat. Okay, so this is the thing that you have to see from this just title. And if you go to your syllabus of your economy GS paper 3, you have a separate chapter called as inflation. There you have to see these dimensions. First one is you have to know what is definition of inflation. It is nothing but increasing of price of goods and service in the market. And you have to see about what are the causes of inflation. Why there is increasing of price in the market is happening because of decreasing of production, decreasing of supply, increasing of demand, right? So what are the reasons for this increasing of inflation? You have to see, and you have to see different types. As I said, we have wholesale price and retail inflation. Yes, and next one is other classification we have is 3 types of inflation. That is cost push inflation. Next one is demand pull inflation. And next one is built-in inflation. So cost push is nothing but if I want to produce any good, so if the raw material cost is increased, means obviously the price of that good will be increased, right? That is called as cost push. And demand pull is nothing but whenever I have low supply but demand is more. For example, I have a bakery and I am selling 10 cakes, but there are 100 members in the queue for that only 10 cakes. At that time, who will give the more money? I will be giving the cake for them, right? So that is called as demand pull inflation. And next one is built-in. Built-in is nothing but whenever there is changing of lifestyle of the people, their habits will be changing and their priorities will be changing. Because of changing of habits and priorities, there will be increasing of demand for certain good. That is called as built-in inflation. And next you have to see about indices, how we are measuring this inflation in the market. For this wholesale price inflation, we have wholesale price index, and for retail inflation, we have consumer price index. You have to see these 3 things. And apart from this, if there is any inflation in the market, how we are controlling that inflation? So there are some mechanisms, right? You have to see what are the measures will be taken by the government and what are the measures will be taken by RBI. So whatever the measures taken by the government is called as fiscal policy. And whatever the measures taken by RBI called as monetary policy. And trust me, there will be no question in your prelims without this monetary policy. Every year there will be question for sure in your prelims regarding this monetary policy. What RBI will do whenever there is inflation or controlling of money supply in the market. So you have to see what is the role of government and what is the role of RBI. Okay. So if you see the fiscal policy, government will do 2 things. So first one is taxes. So you know direct tax and indirect tax, right? So increasing or decreasing of taxes government will do. And next one is increasing of public spending. So increasing of public spending is nothing but government will take up more projects, or sometimes it will be cutting down the projects to increase or decreasing of money supply in the market. And in this monetary policy, what RBI will do? RBI will increase or decrease interest rates. I think you have heard about repo rate, reverse repo rate, SLR. Okay, those or the certain interest rates will be increased or decreased by this RBI to control this inflation. Okay, so all these are the topics in that chapter that you have to know for sure, and keep star mark for this inflation in your syllabus copy and each and everything that you have to know, guys. Okay, very, very high yielding area where you can get question for sure in your mains and as well as prelims. Okay, now let us see the next article. Yeah, see the title. Southwest monsoon advances into Andaman Sea. Is this a new topic? So from last 2 days onwards, we are discussing what was the first topic. So we discussed that there are certain agencies, they will be going for weather forecast, and they gave about the forecast of our Indian monsoon. So first IMD said that we are going to have El Nino this year, and later on SkyMet, that is one private weather forecasting agency, says that no, we are going to have above normal rainfall, and later on again IMD said yes, we are going to have above normal rainfall, that is La Nina this year. And after that, recently 2 to 3 days ago, we discussed one topic like this monsoon winds, they are going to hit this Andaman and Nicobar Islands 1 week before. Normally it will hit on which day? May 30, but this year they are going to touch on May 13 itself. And later on one more article, it had been released. What is that article? It is going to hit this Kerala coast before June 1st. Okay. So now, what is this article? Southwest monsoon advances into Andaman Sea. So what are the predictions they started 1 month ago? Is that happening now or not? So because of this, whether we need proper weather forecasting systems? Yes. Okay, now I will ask you a question here. So please answer my question. So what is the importance of this proper weather forecastings in India? To protect agriculture. Very good. Next. Why we need proper forecasting? Yes, fisheries. Next. During? Okay, so my question is why we need this weather forecasting? Yes. So if you're having good rainfall, we'll go for growing of water intensive crops like sugarcane and rice. If we are not going to have enough rainfall, we'll be going for crop diversification. We can grow water less taking crops like millets. Next. And if there is going to be heavy rain, we can give proper suggestions for the people who are living in this flooding or flood prone areas. Yes or no? Because most of our coastline is getting flooded because of this monsoons. And next, we can give a chance for the states to take their effective disaster resilient steps. Because in the last time monsoons, what happened? Wayanad landslides. Yes. So if you're giving proper weather forecasting for the states, so they will be at least prepare themselves to decrease if there is any disaster things. And we can give proper information to the farmers regarding the rainfall so that they can decide like which crop they will be sowing. And even our government will be taking proper steps for maintaining of our dams, because most of our dams in our country are constructed more than 100 years ago and they are having a problem of more sediment. So if there is no removal of that sediment, what happened? Water carrying capacity will be decreased. And in this monsoons, if there is any flooded water coming into the dam, suddenly they have to close the gate, suddenly they have to open the gates that will lead to the flooding, right? So we have to control all these things. For this, we need to have a proper weather forecasting system. So this is the one example why we need this. Okay. And why this monsoon forecasting is much more important? Because in our country, most of the people, more than 50% of people, they are dependent on agriculture. So because of this, our economy is called as primary based economy or agriculture based economy. So rainfall forecast is very, very important for making an informed decision for the farmers. Okay. Yes. So here what you have to see? You have to see about monsoon. So what is the meaning of monsoon? And you have to see types of monsoon. We have southwest monsoon, and next one is northeast monsoon. Northeast monsoon is also called as retreating monsoons. And especially have to know about ITCZ, intertropical convergence zone, shifting of pressure belts, that you had already know about that in your geography class, right? And this one is Coriolis force, and what is the impact of this Coriolis force on this monsoon. So I want to ask one question, guys. If there is no Coriolis force, do we get this monsoon winds? No. That means Coriolis force is very, very important for our monsoons, and it is one of the thing which is the driving force for monsoons, right? And this one here is, you have to draw a table and you have to differentiate between this southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon. And please make a note, guys. And here you have to see about direction of winds. Okay, direction of winds in southwest monsoons and northeast monsoons. And you have to draw a diagram of India. And next you have to see which regions will be getting rainfall during the southwest monsoon and which regions are getting rainfall in the northeast monsoons, and which crops we are growing during this southwest monsoons and which crops will be growing in this northeast monsoons. And you have to see rainfall. So how much amount of rainfall we get in this and in this. And next important thing here is you have to see the climate. What about the clouds? Which kind of clouds will be there? Okay, in which types of monsoons? Clear? So if you are making this note or if you are making this table, then it will be very easy if you are getting any question regarding comparison of southwest and northeast, which had been already given in your prelims case. So you have to make this kind of very simple note so that you will be not getting any confusion. Especially you will be getting some concepts like October heat. Have you heard this? October heat. So October heat, when we will be getting? In southeast or southwest or northeast? Come on, again one more confusion. Recently that had been done. Clear skies where it can be seen, in this or in this? So which region will be getting more rainfall in the southwest monsoons? North or south? In northeast? North or south? South. North. Rabi crops are more favorable during which rainfall? Southwest or northeast? Southwest. In northeast monsoons, only one region in south will be getting rainfall. Which is that region? Not Kerala. Tamil Nadu. See. So this will be happen. So prepare your own proper notes along with the diagrams, so that if there is any question which comes, you have to attend that. Okay. Yeah, so these are the things that you have to see. And especially whenever in your articles, whenever they are giving any geographical location, you have to know that location. So what is the geographical location they gave here? Andaman Sea. So whenever you are getting this kind of locations in the newspaper, there's a very high probability of getting prelims based question. You have to open your atlas and you have to see where it is. So tell me, where is Andaman Sea located? Where is this Andaman and Nicobar located? In which? Right side. In which water body? Bay of Bengal. Okay. So here. So here we have which sea? Arabian Sea. And here we have BOB, Bay of Bengal. And here we have which islands? Andaman and Nicobar Islands. And here we have southeastern region, right? This region and this Andaman and Nicobar. So whatever the water which is present, and this water is called as Andaman Sea. Okay, so whenever you are getting this kind of a place, so how UPSC can ask another question here? Any idea? Yes, the countries which are surrounding this Andaman Sea. That means here Andaman and Nicobar will be there. But which are the areas on this right side of this sea? You have to know that. Okay, so in this way you have to see. And even you have to see latitudes. So do you know about this 10-degree channel, 9-degree channel, 8-degree channel? So Andaman and Nicobar is divided by 10-degree channel. And which areas are divided by 9-degree channel? Okay. 8-degree channel. And many a times on this 10-degree channel, not only in UPSC, in other groups examinations, in SSB examinations also, SSC CGL examinations also, they asked a direct question. Okay, you have to know this kind of facts. Okay, in this way you have to study this. So let us see some facts regarding this Andaman Sea. Okay, Andaman Sea is a marginal sea of Eastern Indian Ocean region and is situated in the southeast of your Bay of Bengal. And please make a note. So these are the areas which are surrounding by this Andaman Sea, that is India. In India, we have this Andaman and Nicobar Islands to the west of this, and Myanmar on the north and northeast. Next one is Thailand to east and Malaysia to the southeast. So these are the countries which are sharing boundaries with this Andaman Sea. Okay, and actually this Andaman Sea contains 2 islands. So which of the following islands are part of Andaman Sea? Like that also you will be getting question. So first one is, as you know, Andaman and Nicobar, and second one is Mergui Archipelago, which belongs to Myanmar. Okay, so these are the 2 island nations which are there in this Andaman Sea. Okay, and actually you know about these plates, right? We have major plates, we have minor plates. Plate movements happens, divergent plate movements, convergent and transform. So actually this Andaman Sea forms part of Sunda plate, which is a minor plate. Okay, so which of the following plate comes under this part of Andaman Sea? In this way also you can get question, that is Sunda plate. Okay, and actually this Andaman Sea is a very important for our trade because it is a major shipping route which is connecting Indian Ocean with this Pacific Ocean through the Strait of Malacca. Okay, yeah, see this. So here we have Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and this area is our Andaman Sea. Okay. Yes, see the next article, guys. PM calls for targeted intervention in TB elimination efforts. So what this article is talking about? Elimination of TB. So what is this TB? Have you heard this TB? Yes, TB is nothing but tuberculosis. So which organs of your body will be getting affected? Only lungs? Kidney? Next. Okay, tell me, TB is caused by which organism? Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Whether it is bacteria or virus or fungi or algae. Yes, it is a bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay. Yeah. So actually, India is having the burden of TB. So for this, India wants to eliminate this TB. And the target we already crossed. And at least we are going to eliminate this TB in the future. So here what you have to see is tuberculosis. Where you will be studying about this TB? In your science and technology, you will be having this topic called as diseases. So in this disease, we have two types of diseases. One is communicable disease. Next one is non-communicable. So what is meaning of communicable disease? So if you're communicating with someone, like talking or sharing things or handshake or hugging anything, the disease will be getting transmitted from one person to another person. It's called as communicable. For example, COVID-19, recent COVID-19, right? And non-communicable is nothing but if you're communicating, if you're sharing anything, that disease will be not transmitting to another. For example, hypertension. So I think in your family, you'll be having old people, grandparents. So they'll be having this diabetes. They'll be having this hypertension. So will they get transmitted to you if you talk to them or if you serve them? No, right? So here, this TB is a communicable disease. So while you're communicating with the person who is having this TB, if there is any air droplets which is coming from the nose or which is coming from the mouth, so if you're swallowing it, that bacteria will be entering into your body and you will be getting this TB. Okay, so in this TB, we have different types, two types of TB. First one is pulmonary TB. And next one is extra pulmonary TB. Okay, pulmonary TB is nothing but whenever you are communicating with the person who is having TB. So for example, if he coughs, suddenly some air droplets or the things which came out and you breathe inside, it will directly enter into your lungs. So if your lungs will be getting affected, it is called as pulmonary TB. But rather than lungs, if they attacked any other organs of your body, like brain, like eyes, kidneys, stomach, any other thing, that is called as extra pulmonary TB. Even your eyes will be getting TB, guys. That is that much dangerous. Okay, so there are two types. You have to know these two types of TB. And next one here is, we want to eliminate TB, but it is becoming very, very difficult. Why? Because if you are getting TB, continuously you have to take antibiotics for 1 year, at least 1 year, minimum 1 year of time you have to take antibiotics, that to minimum 2 to 3 antibiotics daily without a single day. Also, you should not skip it. You should not skip. So, is that possible for a person? If we ask them to do exercise, if we ask them to do yoga itself, they'll do initially with a zeal for 1 week or 2 weeks and they'll leave. If we ask them to take medicines every day, will you take? No. That is the one important problem why we are not eliminating this TB in our country. Okay, and one more important problem here is antibiotic resistance. So antibiotic resistance is nothing but initially if you are having severe symptoms and if you are coughing, you will be getting blood and even your chest will be like very, very pain and you will be getting high intense, very high fever. Everything will be there if you are getting this TB. So initially if you are having symptoms, at that time you will be taking medicine. But after taking medicines, you will be feeling somewhat better and you are doing your works, means you will be throwing your medicines like that. So after you are throwing that medicines, what happens? Again, this TB will be rejuvenate with a new form. So at that time, if you take earlier medicines, they won't work. This is called as antibiotic resistance. So because of antibiotic resistance, most of the antibiotics, they will be not working on this bacteria which is causing this TB. That is one important problem that we are having. Okay, and you have to know the recent current affairs. It is about BPAL regimen. So recently we came up with this 3-drug combination for treating of this TB. What are the advantages here is, it is no need of taking 1 year of medicines. Only 6 months is more than enough. And what are the side effects you will be getting taking of this antibiotics? You will be not having this side effects. And even treatment cost is less. Okay, so that is the thing we came up. And next thing that you have to see is, what are the initiatives? What are the initiatives government came up to control this TB? Those are the things that you have to see, guys. Okay, now let us see this article. So actually, recently a high-level review meeting happened, and this meeting is about National TB Elimination Program. Our Prime Minister, he said that we have to take urgent interventions so that we can decrease this TB or eliminate this TB by incorporating technology. So we have to use technology so that we can decrease this or eliminate this TB. That is the thing he said. So how can we incorporate technology? How can we incorporate technology? So we can use certain apps which will remind you to take medicine. Yes or no? So do you know there are some apps in the Play Store which will remind you to take water, take medicine, like that. So in the same way, we have to promote these apps which will remind you to take medicines. If someone is reminding you, at least you will be taking that medicines, right? Okay. And apart from that, we can go for improving of research and development in this TB, and we can go for developing of new drugs. And next one here is, in this COVID-19 period time, so what are the advancements in the medical field? So we started using these PPEs, personal protection equipments, and we started using mask. That too famous, N95 mask. Okay, like that we can create some mask which is only suitable for this TB people, and we can supply for them, so that whenever they are communicating with others also, there is no releasing of air droplets and there is no transmission of this disease. Yes. And next, what can we do? How can you use technology? Engineering guys, tell me, how can we use further technology? IIT people, anyone? Even online students, please comment me. Think. Okay, I know only that. So if you have any ideas regarding how can we use technology, please comment in the comment box. How we can use robots? For supplying of medicines, for cleaning, killing. Okay, see here, this article is saying that there is 18% of reduction of TB incidents from 2015 to 2023. From 2015 to 2023, just only 15% of reduction of cases that happened. Why? Because of effective public health strategies we came up. And next, if you are comparing with other countries globally, WHO is saying that India is doing a great job. If you are comparing with other countries, at least in India, 18% of decrease of this TB cases happened. We are very happy for that. And next one here is, yes, if you are comparing with rural areas and urban areas, is there any divide? Is there any gap? Yes. So in rural areas, they don't get proper healthcare services. And even if you are getting TB, where there will be social stigma more, in rural areas, will anyone will allowed to sit beside you? So actually one problem with this TB is there will be increasing of social stigma. So because of that social stigma, even if they know that they got TB, they will not come and they will not say. Yes or no? Because societal status is very important in the rural areas compared to that of urban areas. So we are having lots of rural-urban divide, and we have to focus on that. Especially government need to come up with some targeted policies for rural areas. And this one here is, we have to use technology, especially in this healthcare outreach. We can use some websites for telemedicine services. If you are in rural areas, if you want to get proper treatment, means you can contact this specialists who are present in the urban areas through telemedicine services, online appointments. So we can improve that kind of awareness. And even we have to give certain technologies for the patients who are having this kind of TBs. Like, we can give an advice to install certain kinds of apps which will remind you to take medicines, and we can set the timings in that app, and we can give that to the patient so that they can use that, so that they will not miss the antibiotics, so that antibiotic resistance will not be occurring in the future. Yeah, that is the thing. And next one here is what are the initiatives taken by the government so far. So please make a note. First one is National Tuberculosis Elimination Program. And this program is aiming to reduce TB burden by 2025, 5 years ahead of global target 2030, but we didn't reach that. Target is 2025, but now we are in 2025, but only 18% of reduction of cases, not completely. And next one here is we have Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. PM TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. So it is focusing on providing some additional support to these TB patients. And even we have the CSR, right? That is Corporate Social Responsibility. What is the CSR? If companies or industries or manufacturing units, whatever it may be, if they are getting profits, on their profits, they have to spend 2% for the development of the country. They can invest in education, or they can run NGOs, or they can provide education facilities or healthcare facilities, everything. So here we have to include this CSR and this TB also. That is the thing. And this one is Nikshay Poshan Yojana. So under this, here government is providing financial incentives. Earlier they used to give only 500 rupees for the TB patient, but now it had been increased to 1000 rupees per month. Okay, and next one here is we have National TB Call Center, which will be providing telecounseling. Okay, if they call to that number, so they will be giving some directions or some details regarding this. And next one is we have TB Mukt Panchayat initiative, especially in the rural areas. And next one is we have tribal TB initiatives. So in this tribal TB initiatives, we are going to mainly deal about this TB in this tribal areas. And this one is Mission Indradhanush. So in this Mission Indradhanush, we have one vaccine called as BCG. Have you heard this? Bacillus thuringiensis goret. Okay, BCG. So this BCG vaccine will be given as soon as you give the birth to the child. So that, yes, this BCG vaccine is included in this Mission Indradhanush, which is given free of cost by this Anganwadi centers or like Basti Davkhanas to the people. And here we have WHO, right? So we recently discussed about this WHO, why it is in use. WHO. Yesterday or day before yesterday we discussed WHO. What? Huh? Enti? Ade. Why we discussed? Why it is in use? Are. Why we discussed this? Yesterday or day before yesterday we discussed this. WHO. Very good. Listening class with 100% attention. Yes, WHO gave guidelines regarding nursing. So there is a very huge demand for this. Nurses in the foreign countries, especially low and middle income countries, are producing more amount of nurses. Okay, see here, for this TB also we have certain WHO initiatives. First one is End TB Strategy, and under the strategy we have to end TB by 95% by 2035, and this one is 90% reduction by 2035 in TB incidents when we are comparing with that of 2015. And this one is we have TB Vaccine Accelerator Council also, and this the government is trying to provide free TB vaccines. Okay, now let us see the next article, see the title. In India, education without employment. So what this article is about? What do you understand by this? In India, we are providing education, quality education, but the problem is increasing of unemployment rate. Example, best example. BTech students? Yes, very good. So BTech students are getting this degree, but what about the unemployment rate is very, very high. Okay, so recently, what are the changes we came up in our education? National Education Policy, very good. So we came up with this National Education Policy in year 2020, but it is not evenly implemented in all states. Only some states implemented and some states they didn't, and some states are considering that, whether to implement or not to implement. Yes. So actually this article is saying that we are coming up with lots of reforms in our education system in our India through this National Education Policy 2020. So actually why we came up with this National Education Policy? To revolutionize our education system. So that what happens, we can increase employability options in the graduates. But this article is saying that practically it is not possible. Practically it is not happening in our country. So we implemented in 2020, but we are in 2025. But even though the policies are remaining unproven, and even there is stagnant unemployment rate which is there in our country. Okay. So here this article is saying that National Education Policy 2020 aims to shift our education landscape, but it is ineffective from last 4 years. After implementation also, we are not getting effective results. And this one here is what is the rate of employmentability? It is just 42.6%. After being graduate, only if there are 100 students, only 42 to 43 students they are getting jobs, but remaining they are unemployment. Even after implementation of this NEP 2020 also, this rate had been stagnant. There is no change in this. And especially because of AI, because of machine learning, and especially because of science and technology advancements, so people are not getting proper employment opportunities. Yes, this NEP is not addressing this problem of AI and machine learning. Only in the colleges, in the schools, they are implementing some changes, but it is not at all talking anything about this AI revolution, machine learning, and science and technology advancements. That is the thing which mainly said. And if you see about this NEP, the important aim it is India to be a global knowledge superpower. And we want to revamp our education system. That is the one important aim of this National Education Policy. And what are the features? The feature here is we are focusing on universal access at all levels of schooling, from preschool level to grade 12. And even we are focusing on early childhood care and education at all children between 3 to 6 years. And we have new curriculum, that is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. There is no inter. Okay, like that. So just to see these features, that's it. And now let us see the next article. Title says, big deal. US-China trade deal will have implications for India. So what we discussed in yesterday's first article. Decreasing of US and China's tariffs. So yesterday I didn't said about any percentage, right? So this article is saying about the percentage. So actually this article is saying that because of this India-Pakistan tensions, now there is decreasing of tariffs on US and Chinese goods in this global trade war. So actually US imposed 145% of tariffs on this China goods, and now this is going to be decreased to 30%. Okay, US is imposing 145% of taxes on Chinese goods, and now they are going to decrease it to 30%. And China is imposing 125% of tariffs on US goods, and it is decreased to 10%. Okay, see the change. Where is 145%, where is 30, where is 125, and where is 10%. So now we can understand that there is decreasing of tariffs. Tariffs are nothing but taxes on imports and exports. Okay, so what happens if there is decreasing of tariffs? This part you have to think. What happens? Relationship will be good. Next, increasing of exports and imports. And not only these two countries will be getting affected because of this tariff, but even other countries which are dependent on this will be also getting affected. So the global economy will be coming to the normal pace. Yes, it will be supporting growth and development in other countries also, right? Next. Yes, trade deficit will be decreased. Very good. Next. Production rate will be increased. Again, employment opportunities. Okay, there will be no recession. Yes, that is the thing which mainly gave here. That's it, nothing more than this. Okay, so this article is saying that recent trade agreement happened between US and China. And in this agreement, they accepted to decrease the tariff for 90 days. There's a specific period. 90 days means nothing but for 3 months. Okay, so Chinese imports on which how much amount of the taxes imposed on US? By 145% and had been decreased to 30%. On US goods, China decreased from 125% to 10%. So because of this agreement, we are going to have some positivity in the global market because different countries are also dependent on these products, right? So we can expect good global markets, global economy. And next one is, it is like a temporary relief. They said it is not permanent, only for 90 days. That means here US tariffs on these Chinese goods, they are reduced temporarily. That means we can expect that there is decreasing of trade tensions between these two countries. And whenever there is global economy boost will happen, means obviously we can expect investments. So foreign investments will be increased, forex reserves will be get increased. And next one is trade deficit will be decreased. Okay, and we can expect that this type of good relations at least for 90 days. And finally, we have to see what will be the reforms that we can come up in this trade sector soon. Okay, now let us see the next article. Title says the right to repair movement in India. So in yesterday's class, I discussed about one major problem we are facing in India. What is that problem? Not manufacturing. I said about e-waste, electronic waste, right? Okay, I want to ask one question. Is that electronic waste good? Then what can we do? Yes, we have to go for repairing rather than throwing it away. So that is about this right to repair movement in India. Okay, so let me give you the details. So recently one committee had been constituted for the framework of repairability index. In which sector? In mobile and as well as electronic sector. Because in this mobiles and electronic sector, we can generate more amount of electronic waste. So because of this, one committee had been established to see whether we can go for repair or not. What is this repairability index? Finally, this committee had been submitted the report. So which are the countries which are producing more amount of electronic waste that we discussed in yesterday's class? First one is China, second one is US, third one is India. We are proud, right? So India is the third largest country to produce more amount of e-waste after China, and as well as second one is US. Okay, so actually between this 2022 and 2025, consumers are complaining about this mobile phones and as well as tablets increased from 19,000 to 22,000, underscoring the need for improved repair accessibility and transparency in the post-sale services. So actually what is happening here is nowadays in 2022 and 2025, nowadays after this COVID-19 period, so children, they started using phones. Children, they started using laptops and tablets, right? Because of online education, because of online projects, everything. And even after this COVID-19 also, so there are WhatsApp groups and they are giving works on this WhatsApp, everything, right? So if children are using this mobile phones and tablets, what they'll do? They'll frequently throw it away and sometimes it will be causing damage. Is that feasible for the parents to buy phones? For them it's okay, but what about children? They will not take care, right? So actually parents want to restrain the students from the phones, especially their children should not use phones like that. They will be having that mindset. So because of this, will they buy the new phone, new tablets? So because of this, from 2022, see the date, 2022 to 2025, so from the parents itself, there is increasing of complaints that we need more repair options for the mobiles and electronic gadgets. Okay, so here this committee came up with 5 important recommendations. First one here is self-declared repairability scores. So whenever you're buying any phone or any electronic things, on this box you will be having the details like what is the capacity of RAM, what is the capacity of battery, everything will be given, no? Like that we need a separate box is about repairability scores. So which part can be repairable? Okay, for example, even they will be giving warranty for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? And for that warranty also, which parts will be getting warranty? Every detail should be there on that box clearly. So if you are getting that information, what happens? Sometimes you will be going through that and you will be getting knowledge, like if suddenly this mobile phone falls off, if screen got scratches or screen got broken, so if it is covered in that insurance or not, you will be getting understand. And if it is there, means you will be going directly to that so and so center, service center, and you will be making it repaired, right? So that what happens, electric waste is decreased or increased? Decreased. So first important recommendation given by this committee is we need to give a clear-cut repairability score. And next one is display of RI. So our repairability index should be prominently displayed on the points of sale. So if you want to buy this mobiles or electronic devices, where you will be going? You will be going to some electronic center, some showrooms. So that showrooms, if you see, Samsung mobiles, everything will be organized in one row, and Redmi mobiles one row, iPhones on one row, like that, no? So wherever we are displaying certain types of companies things, so we have to display the repairability index there itself. What is the repairability index of Samsung, repairability index of iPhone, repairability index of Redmi, like that. So whatever the electronic products may be, so they have to display clearly about this repairability index. And there are certain parameters, there are 6 parameters. The first one is depth. So till which depth the damage happened. Next one is repair information. Next they have to give spare parts availability for something like engines. For if you take the fridge, gas replaceability, there will be certain parts, right? So we have to get the information of the spare parts. And next one is fasteners, software updates, especially in the mobiles and laptops, we will be getting software updates. So recently in Vivo mobiles, I find that because of updates, there were green color lines which are appeared on the screen. So people will be known about that updates. If there is any update, if you are going to update your things, so what will be the impact? So that is the one important problem that happened in the Vivo. And most of the service centers, they got complaints about this green color line. So we also went to service center and we also replaced that. So like that, people need to know about all these things. And next one is the framework should focus on components which are prone to frequent failures. Which parts of your so-and-so mobiles or laptops or electronics will be getting failures. So people need to know about that. For example, batteries, assemblies, microphones, speakers, etc. And this one is stakeholders need to be engaged, especially manufacturers, industry associations, etc. They have to be in contact with the people so that they can have the proper grievance redressal system. So why we want this repairability index? First important thing here is we have to reduce this e-waste. And second one is we can go for circular economy. And next one is we can also create some local employment for local repair industries. Okay, clear? So these are the very important topics that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper, guys. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this class, please hit the like button and please share this class to your friends. And don't forget to register for this All India Scholarship Test on 21st May, guys. And do subscribe to Rathod Science Academy.